Episode 89. The face of evil. An evil face that's
What makes
facey
it-
and
What makes it evil?
evil and...
Is it
I
the
don't know,
mouth?
what does make it evil, do you?
Is it the mouth or the nose?
What makes a face evil? Can a face be evil?
The tongue, maybe.
Ah. Delicious tongue.
Yeah.
What is the face of evil about, dear? And for reminder, for you, because it's been a while since we've recorded. Last we saw the Doctor, he was on Gallifrey. Left his companion behind. Technically, between last episode and this episode, there's actually a shit ton of stories, but none of them are on TV. A lot happened, but now we're on a planet. What happens on this planet, dear?
Well, there's some people arguing over punishment for heresy for this lady, and they're all like half-naked caveman-ass people. And alright, I guess the lady's gonna be banished because she didn't want people to die and there's no god. And then her dad stands up and goes, I'll be tested in her place. And she's like, don't kill my dad. And then they do. And then she's banished. And unless she gets out of here by sunrise, she's gonna be fucking hodored the hell back and killed. And then someone makes some gossip about around the arena. And we see a worm and a helmet wiggle by. And then the TARDIS comes in and he's alone. And he looks around. Meanwhile, the men are hunting the lady through some plastic tubing with crossbows. Lady also has a crossbow. They have a crossbow fight. And then, there's this dude, his name is Thomas or whatever. He's here to take her back because he's like, I saw them trying to hunt you down. And she's like, nah, and then goes away. And then the Doctor and lady wander around, because they found each other and they start hearing growling and they get worried. And she's worried about him because he talks about eating babies, and the evil one eats babies, and he looks like the evil one. But then they continue to worry about the noise, and he pulls out an alarm clock, sets it, makes a distraction, they get away. So they walk away, and at one point it's just like tremors, it's the whole thing. One barbarian tells them that they were hunting the lady, so now it's time to have a revolt because everything's all fucked up, and the shaman is being spoken to through some computers, and they're just like, this is just God. And he gets the order that the lady and the Doctor are to be killed. Meanwhile, the Doctor finds a sonic disruptor thing. Also, the God is held by Tesh or something, and now they need to figure out this religious shit to figure it out, and there's infighting and assaulting the wall stuff, and then we hear about how some are too hungry for it, and then they're like, nah, let's go fight anyway. Then Leela hears the thing and goes into cover, and the Doctor gets caught by the barbarians. Leela runs off. Everyone still thinks he's the evil one. He threatens to turn them into toads for a little bit. Apparently, their religious shit is exactly what you do with the spacesuit, which they totally don't have. And then meanwhile, the Doctor is brought to the barbarian camp. Oh, hello. Meanwhile, she's also sneaking into the camp. Doctor mentions that they're using all this shit incorrectly. The thing this one guy is holding could destroy the whole camp. They tell the Doctor to release their god, or we'll kill you, and he's like, yeah, fuck off. Leela's here too. The Doctor's almost killed, but then he isn't. Then the gong that they sound off is apparently metal from a survey ship. The Doctor is like, I'm a time traveler, bro. I'm not evil. Come on, you literally have all this Earth shit here. Shaman goes to talk to God again and then heads out to fuck up that wall. Shaman leaves. Leela's here to save the Doctor. Leela literally kills a guy, like actually kills a guy to free the Doctor. And then they leave. Yeah. And then everyone's chanting and shit, it's time to kill the Doctor, and he's gone. And the Doctor gets upset that Leela is still killing people, and then they leave. And then the Shaman is upset that everyone's gone, so it's time to attack the wall anyway, and the Doctor goes up to this giant rock and sees his face in it. It's very dense. Lots of things happening. A giant
rock in the style of
Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
So, the reason there's Mount Rushmore imagery in there is purely because Robert Holmes was like, Philip Hinchcliffe suggested the Mount Rushmore of the Doctor's face would be a funny, creepy visual conceit, and so he gave it to the writer to be like, hey, put this in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The writer had been basically trying to submit a story like this for years. Chris Butcher.
Mm.
Stories around the idea of a generation starship that would take centuries to get to its destination, so the whole generations would know nothing about space flight. Something to do with deceit and generations and sort of society, etc. And this is how it came about. Initially as well, because remember, they got rid of Sarah Jane, and then they were like, well, we don't know if we are gonna have a companion anymore, because we feel like the companion might be might be a little bit outdated. And so the initial plan was to have basically a one-off companion every story, which is kind of what they do in every story when the Doctor is alone. They have one person who basically is just the companion, but they stay there.
Mm.
And so for this one, Luco, so Leela was meant to be for this one. There was also meant to be a street urchin in the next one, and then a third story which never got made called The Tower of Amello was another character in that. And then they basically just merged all three into one and were like, let's just have a companion. Like, maybe Tom Baker isn't right. Maybe we do need the companion.
Mm.
It'll be easy. So that's what they ended up doing with it. Also, the Doctor straight up just breaks the fourth wall in the first few moments of the episode. Where he just looks directly at the camera and talks to the audience and talks about, wait a minute, this isn't Hyde Park. This could be some sort of discontinuity. Put a knot in his hanky, and then he pulls out the hanky and has a knot in it already, meaning he's already meant to remember something and he's already forgotten it. And then he just goes, little look around, Doctor? Why not? And then steps towards the camera and then walks around and starts exploring. It's like, that was weird. It's not the first or last time that the Doctor breaks the fourth wall. But yeah, the working title for this one was The Tower of Amello, but it was a slightly different story, and The Day the God Went Mad. The latter was objected by Philip Hinchcliffe, not because it might offend viewers with religious sensibilities, because as we've proven in the past, Philip Hinchcliffe does not give a shit about religious sensibilities, but it was out of keeping with the other titles, because Doctor Who titles tend to have a theme to them, like the blank of blank, or the death to blank, or the blank. Like, they don't tend to be like, the day that blah 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 blah. They tend to be long sentences. They tend to stick to a very rigid thing. The words of and the are the only only connecting words in there.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens in the next part, dear?
Well, the Doctor can't remember things, but he can remember things. He's trying to remember things, is basically what we're getting at here. He's not good at it. So,
Mood.
you know. And then from there, the leader doesn't want to attack, but the shaman does. Okay, it's wartime. Doctor goes back to the thing. Shaman heads out. Doctor wants to look at his relics and shit. Doctor's like, this is all tech from not here. Also, why were his prayers maybe going and being spoken to like someone and maybe expecting an answer? And then the helmet just keeps talking about free will and stuff, and the Doctor's upset because he heard his own voice and it's weird. So now it's time to attack the wall with crossbows, and then white light literally points directly at them and they all collapse. Doctor is back at the camp. They learn about the massacre, but then he tries to betray the Doctor and tries to stab Leela, and she's paralyzed and maybe gonna die. Then Thomas comes back, the situation swaps back, Doctor's in control again. He's gonna make a cure for the thorn. Thank God there just happens to be an anti-poison making thing right here that works still. The one dude keeps talking about how the Doctor isn't doing anything. They think Leela's dead, but then the Doctor puts the thing in her and she's good. Well, that one guy runs off and gets the rest of the men to take the Doctor hostage. Weird. Some of them are should be dead, but they aren't. But then everyone keeps thinking he's the evil one, continuing to argue and shit because Leela is like, it was God that set up the trap. And then we get some caveman democracy, basically. It's like caveman politics, but less shit gets done. And, oh, look, there's a bitey worm. We have a lot of them in this pit that you're going into, and Leela is like, the rope, cut it at this exact point. And then we basically just slowly watch this rope move, and...
It's a moving rope.
And then he shoots it, and we're good. And yeah. And then the doctor's free to go, I guess, now. And we see the doctor talking to Zod or whatever through Neva, the shaman dude. And then there's multiple voices. And it's time to talk it out by turning off the wall, right? But now the shaman is down to listen to the doctor now. And the invisible barrier man stopping thing is off. So that's not good. So now if everyone is preparing for attack, and maybe my makeshift barrier is going to help us. Wait, if nothing could get through, how did they talk to him? That's weird. I don't understand. And then the doctor's like, oh, you're smart. And then they go basically brainwash talk to the shaman and pretend to be God. So they figure out where the thing is coming from. They run off to the doctor's face, which they talk about how it isn't a perfect likeness, and climb into his mouth, which is Vor. And then the guys are fighting. The invisible leader dies somehow. And Tommy is firing his balls. And that's exactly what happened, word for word.
I mean, yeah. It is pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
So, Janus Thorns. They were originally pronounced with the first syllable rhyming with can, so Janus Thorns. But then Tom Baker pointed out that Janice Thorne sounded like an out-of-work soap actress, so they changed the pronunciation. So it's Janus Thorns instead of Janice Thorne, because Janice Thorne sounds like... It sounds like a person's name. Which I kind of love. So the story does not explicitly explain... I'll get to that later, actually. I don't want to say that right now. Leela's costume was originally leotard-based, which is why it kind of looks the way it does. I kind of like the design, but also it's very, very 70s. It could have been much worse, thankfully. But as I sort of said a few episodes ago, Leela was basically created because Philip Hinchcliffe was sitting around and talking to his neighbors, essentially, and his neighbor's daughter was talking about what she enjoyed about Doctor Who, and she said that she related the most to the Doctor instead of Sarah Jane. And so he was like, we should get a companion that's actually, someone that girls can look up to.
Yeah.
Like, not, just a helpless woman. So they were like, okay, let's go with a strong female character then. How about we just write that? And so they wrote Leela, and Leela is great. She does shit. She fucking is headstrong, and I mean, not only just will she kill people, but she has agency of her own. She doesn't just wait for the Doctor a lot of the time. And they have a very, very sort of unique relationship between the two of them. Which we'll get to upon future episodes. Robert Holmes, also the script editor, suggested that Leela should possess some sort of supernatural power that he thought that she would inherit from some like witch priestess grandmother. The writer hated the idea though and opted to just give her a sixth sense for danger instead, which I very much prefer. But what happens in the next part, dear?
Stuff, mostly. Things such as the Invisible Boys are the Doctor's face, if you didn't catch it, by the way. Also, another crossbow man comes up and then everybody runs away. Doctor and Leela are running around his throat and sees a man in a spacesuit, and then also the Morty expedition, apparently something. He helped with it or something, and we're not really sure what happened. So let's walk through this fake solid wall. Something transport, and Zon is like a bunch of people talking in the ship. They all want to be one. Something's going on. The Tesh were meant to work the ship, and the Civ, whatever, were meant to explore. They were all colonists from the same ship that crashed here, and it's all fucked up now. And then something about how the people here held the Doctor as the Lord that was supposed to come back. Leela gets scared by the psychic damage and faints again. And then they wait a really long time for the Doctor, apparently, and have trouble talking to the Doctor and he's like, it's a eugenics experiment. Oh boy. By the way, Leela is going to be James Bond lasered. Don't worry about it. The Doctor is again somewhere in the ship because he needs to go to somewhere in the ship no one's allowed to go, which is level 37, apparently. And they're going to analyze all the particles in Leela because she's a savage, and that's why you brought her, of course, right? And the doctor's now trapped because he's like, no. And then tells Leela to close her eyes so he can use a mirror to reflect the laser and break it. It's James Bond. So now they're free, but everyone is upset they're escaped, so they need to kill them because they're savages. And then the computer is actually really fucked up with schizophrenia, supposedly. And the doctor programmed it and forgot to wipe himself from the core. And the computer is watching all of this like, And the barbarians run out of gun power. So everyone goes back home. And they head to the communication room and find a new blue talkie tube. And the doctor's like, hey, shaman guy, listen to me. I'm God. Come hang out in my mouth. And Leela, I told you to stop killing people. She killed another person. It's fine. And then barbarians are in the mouth ready to fuck up some shit. Doctor goes in alone to the computer core and they're like, who the fuck is you? And Doctor talks about what he did and explains the whole situation basically, exposition-y. And the doctor's still talking about how the computer thinks it's a person and it's crazy. Leela, by the way, at this point is outside fending off some guards. But when trying to convince the computer, the doctor's brain has a hernia and he falls over. Oh. Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
No.
So, in the first part, the script initially called for the Doctor to threaten a Sever-Team tribes member with a knife. Tom Baker was like, that is way too violent and out of character for the Doctor to do, so that he changed it to a jelly baby instead. Which is why he puts a jelly baby to a guy's face and says, don't shoot or I'll kill this man with this deadly jelly baby. Which I still love. So, the story doesn't state this, as you may have picked up, this is like, wait a minute, I don't remember this episode that they're talking about where the Doctor came to this planet and did this thing. That's because, technically, it hasn't happened. This was kind of an attempt to write an episode about, like, a sequel to something that we didn't get to see, to sort of imply that the Doctor's had more adventures outside of the show, which he has. Although, the novelization of it suggests that it took place during the Fourth Doctor's first episode, Robot, in the very moment when Sarah sees him begin to leave in the TARDIS, suggesting that the Doctor left in the TARDIS and then returned back to unit so quickly that no one had realized he had gone, with his like mid-regeneration sort of psychosis causing him to forget the entire trip. It's just something the person who wrote the novelization just made up. I'm pretty sure it was Terrence Dix. He wrote most of the novelizations. It's just like, oh, okay, why? Whatever. It's like, okay. Yeah, I can't get over it. It's so dumb. But, yes, I will say also, I constantly get this and the Planet of Evil mixed up between the two, because it's the Planet of Evil and the Face of Evil. I constantly forget that the Planet of Evil exists, but it doesn't help that both of them have invisible monsters that have the same effect. Like, it's really hard to, like, if they weren't so similar in that aspect, it would be easy to like, contrast them, but because they're so similar in that aspect, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, I don't know which is which. But no, that is the Face. I like it.
Sorry,
what
I know
happens in the next part, dear? Is the Doctor dead?
I just want to say I am sorry my jacket is acting up on audio because it's very fucking cold. Oh my god. Texas is dying.
Just
again.
get warm.
Fuck off. So, last episode. Leela has a knife, ready to fight, but the lights go out, people are scared, it's the end of the world. So Leela steals a gun, attacks the screens with a laser, which works and saves the Doctor. Everything in there is so you were inside him. And then the Doctor notices the red lighting and smell, and it's all weird, and he's like, don't touch that gun! and then he gets captured by a loopity-doopity-doo, and then they struggle for a bit, and the computer apparently mind-controlled the loopity-doopity-doos, and the lights aren't red anymore right now, so it's whatever. They're safe, I guess. Meanwhile, the barbarians are in here, and they're like, look, it's God, I think. And the shaman is like, let's kill God, he lied to me. Also, Leela has a gun now, and now she's mind-controlled, and then now she's not. And then the Oopa-Doopa-Doos are like, what do we do? Fall back, prepare for a fight. And then the lights go red again. It's all spooky. Leela is down for the unfair advantages, by the way, which is pretty good. And then the new leader is like, okay, attack time. And Thomas is like, you're fucking dumb. Stop. Everything in this room is computery, by the way. And the atomic ginnies are overloading. So seriously, we need to wipe me from the computer's brain or else we all die. And then, everyone's getting all brain wiggly. Because they are touching a gun or something, and even Leela is getting all brain wiggly and wants to kill the doctor. Oh no! And then the shaman man is like, nah, I'm gonna take this giant gun. And Leela tries to stab the doctor, misses, faints. Oops. Again.
Made.
But then the doctor's at knife point by everybody else, but then the shaman guy shoots the fake face, and which I guess releases everybody. And the doctor goes back to work, deletes himself from the computer, and saves the day. Woohoo. Then we see him waking up to some chocolate, and they just are, like, vibing out on the floor, eating chocolate. And he's like, oh, I've been here for...
he collapsed, remember?
Yes. I mean, I did say
yes.
It's fine. And it's fine. He's only been here for 2 days, and the ship is entirely silent, and no one's really talked to God anymore. Whatever his face is. Leela's apparently also very smart and now remembers a bunch of ship stuff. So now it's time to go talk to the computer, and the computer says, hi, doctor, what's up? I'm better now. Leela, I made all the people crazy because I was crazy, and it felt like doing it. So let me magic in some chairs and let's sit and have a chat. So they do. And then everyone outside is talking together like, we can't be powered by savages. And the fucking barbarians are like, well, you need to stop being jackasses, and we already have a leader, so fuck you. And then everyone's like, well, why don't we, make Leela the leader? Because she's talked to God. And the doctor's like, you know what? Not my problem. And Leela's like, oh, please, God. And then looks around, and the doctor's gone. And then, oh no, don't worry about it. And then Leela runs off to catch the doctor because she's like, please, I don't want to be leader. Also, can I go with you? And he's like, no. And then Leela runs into the TARDIS like a cat and refuses to leave while the TARDIS swooshes away because she touched a button.
Yep.
Yeah.
She really is like a cat in her first few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor's just like, don't do that. And she's like,
do what?
What
this?
if I did?
This?
This?
Ooh, don't do what? Do this? Don't what? This?
Do this?
Ooh.
I'm sorry, what? This?
Yeah.
What do you mean this?
Anyway.
But that's the face of evil. I will quickly state, like, there is a small little bit about where this episode kind of came from.
Mm-hmm.
The paragraph is small. In 70s Britain, religion was something that other people did. Everyone was either agnostic or able to question their faith openly. We had the occasional attempt at American-style fundamentalism, such as the Festival of Light rallies, and Mary Whitehouse's demagoguery, if we're talking about her and her censorship campaign with the show. We only had to look at Northern Ireland to see where that sort of thing led. A little bit of troubles. The last thing on TV before the close down at midnight was Epilogue, a sermon in which mentioning God was somehow tasteless. Usually presented by someone with neither charisma nor dress sense. This is 70s standards. People, like, even by 70s standards, it was bad dress sense. People with strong convictions were widely seen as the best comparable to flat earthers and at worst potential terrorists. Munich Olympics event and all the IRA bombings killing people in pubs in Birmingham led people to have a bad sort of opinion on faith and such. The writer has cited two big works influences for the story. Frank Herbert's Destination Void, a generational starship with a computer that develops godlike abilities, ultimately making a planet for the colonists. And Harry Harrison's Death World trilogy. The first features a planet where everything is lethal and people have evolved lightning reflexes. The second is a stranded astronaut finding abandoned technology and using it to take control of a tribe of savages. We'd like to suggest a third, which appears to be undeniable, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. In this, we have the requisite girl in leather with a big knife, worship of technology whose purpose is forgotten, relics that we recognize, but the natives don't, and a priesthood with mental powers who see all other beings as primitives. When the Doctor walks through what looks like the side of a mountain, just like Charlton Heston, you can be fairly sure that it's deliberate. But yes, Face of Evil. What do you think, dear?
Honestly, like a 3. I kept
Really?
I kept mentioning it. Like, I just kept feeling like everything was dragging, and I think it was just because like
You literally wait. You said everything was dragging, but then you were complaining that too much was happening.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it was extremely dense, and it just felt like it was going on forever. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know. It just was extremely frustrating.
I guess.
It's like when you go to an 1.5-hour movie and it feels like you've been there for 3 hours.
I mean, I guess, but I guess I just don't understand how you're feeling like this for this.
That's how I feel about it. Sorry.
I'm not meaning it in like a you should be rating it higher. I mean, like, I'm genuinely curious, like, why you feel it with this episode but not other episodes that are functionally the same.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think a lot of it probably is just the fact that it's very religious, basically.
Yeah, there is an element of religion to it in this one.
And so, like, for me, that's just kind of like, oh my god, shut up, you fucking religious piece of shit, idiot, dumbass cult member,
that's
basically. Fair. And it feels worse because of that, I think.
Well, the next episode is nothing like that.
Okay.
Well, you want to guess the title?
Sure.
The Blank of Blank. Which word do you want to guess? Do you want to guess the first word or the second word?
Whichever one's easier for me to guess.
They're both super easy words.
First one.
Okay. The Blank of Death.
Mask.
Ooh, nope.
Hands.
2 more guesses. Ooh, nope. It's not a word that we've had before. Well, actually, it's a word we've had before, but not in this season or the previous season.
Dog.
We've never had dog.
Okay, fine. Tree.
The Robots of Death.
Okay.
No religion when robots are concerned. The Robots of Death.
What
a
if
very
the robots
highly
have
regarded,
religion?
fun murder mystery. That's right. It's Murder on the Orient Express.
If it actually is,
but not really.
Then maybe. Oh no. Okay.
No. It kind of is, but not really.
Pain.
But that's the next episode. The Robots of Death. Watch out. They're coming to get you, dear. Coming to get you. They're coming to get you. Watch out. Here they come. They're coming. Watch out. Oh, that's going to peak.
A little bit.
Oh, that's definitely going to peak. I'm so sorry.
I was really far from my mic. I tried.
Thank God. Okay. Well, Robots of Death.
Bye.
Anything else you want to sign off with, dear? Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye.